Hello guys, welcome back to Literature Information. Today we are going to discuss about Edward Said and Edward Said, in which we talk about Orientalism. Orientalism is an essay by Edward Said, published in 1978, in which he differentiates East and West, black and white, superior and inferior, and Orient and Occidents. Orientalism is a term come from Orientals, which means people who are Orients or belong to Eastern countries. Orientalist means a person who study or observe Eastern cultures, traditions, norms, and values, and also their language and societies. So, in the definition of Orientalism, we can say that Orientalism is a concept, a theory, or a discourse set by British, Occidents, or Western society between Orients and Occidents. In other terms, if we talk about Orientalism in Oxford Dictionary, the definition of Orientalism is also an ontological or epistemological distinction between Orients and Occidents. According to Edward Said, Orientalism is a belief, a notion set by Occidents so they can rule over Orients, so they can gain knowledge and power. They set their beliefs through their literature that Eastern are uncivilized, lustful, irrational, and violent people. They are inferior to us, and we are civilized, educated, active, well mannered, and we are here to make them civilized. Orientalists study and observe Orients and note their weak points, and they took advantage of them and rule over them. The name include in Orientalist which are main and through them or because of them. Edward inspired and he writes the essay Orientalism. These are Ernest Renan and Sylvester de Sacy. Those are the Orientalists Edward Said inspired from. The Orients are the uncivilized people and Occidents are civilized. In his essay, he also argues about that Western they have divided this world into two parts, our and theirs. This made or create a big difference between them. Orientalism is a book divided in three parts. In all parts, Edward Said discuss about the thinking of Western about Eastern countries. Eastern countries include in Asia, Africa, or Arab people. And on the other hand, Western countries include in England, Britain, French. These are all colonial powers. These are the concepts in this book, which is Orientalism. First of all, let's take a brief look on biography and works of Edward Said. Edward Said has challenged the difference between East and West. He is considered to be one of the most influential thinkers of the second half of the 20th century. His best known work include in Orientalism, which is published in 1978, which represent an opposition between different parts of the world, between whites and blacks, between colonizer and colonized, and become one of the foundational texts for post-colonial studies. The authentic definition of Orientalism is a style of thought based upon an ontological and epistemological distinction between the Orient and the Occident. Basically, Orientalism is a field of academic research that includes everyone who teaches, investigates, and writes about the Orients. Orientalism is a corporate institution for dealing with the Orient. Orientalism is a Western style for dominating, restructuring, and having authority over the Orient. The word Orientalism basically is a noun form of adjective, which is Oriental, which means something related to Eastern countries. But in the context of Said, Orientalism simply doesn't mean something related to the Eastern countries. It means the misrepresentation of the people and the culture of the Eastern countries like Middle East, Asia, North Africa, Arab people, or we can say that the third world countries are also included in it. Now let's take a look of a book and discuss the key concept of Orientalism. First of all, a most famous writer named Rudyard Kipling once said that East is East and West is West and never the twin shall meet. This intellectual tradition is the background of presentation of Orientalism as a European viewpoint. Orientalism basically a book published in 1978 divided into three parts. And what is the meaning of Orientalism? Orients, first of all, simply who belongs to Eastern world, Like I told you earlier, these are including Asian people are the countries included in the third world countries. On the other hand, Occident, these are all Western people. On the other side, to study Orient's culture, tradition, and literature, it's all called Orientalism. If we talk about introduction of Orientalism, Edward Said says that Orientalism is a concept, a theory, or a discourse set by Western people. They study Eastern culture, tradition, and make their literature, construct the ideas that they are superior and Orients are inferior. This concept developed by Occidents, and Occidents are including French, British, and Americans. They study Orient's culture and understood their thinking so they can easily rule on them. Western culture are Western people thinking about Eastern people. In the introduction, this attitude is called Orientalism. Now we are going to discuss about the parts of Orientalism. So first of all, scope of Orientalism, knowing the Orientals. The how Orientalism becomes system of knowledge in modern times. Orientalism gives us knowledge about different things, mainly the difference between Western country and Eastern countries. Western powers divide this world into two parts, ours and others. Ours and theirs. Occidents shows themselves superior and show Orient inferior. They said Orients are lazy, lustful, irrational, violent, and also mysterious. On the other hand, Occident's superiority is self proclaimed. Western people construct this. It's not a fact, neither naturally they are superior. They themselves set this discourse. They made this concept themselves so they can create their power on Orients and down their morale so they can rule over them. Occident's thinking is that Orients cannot manage anything because they are uncivilized. Someone has to teach them. They infuse this concept in Orient's mind, and Orients also think that we are inferior and openly welcome Occidents to rule on them. Occidents know Orient's weak points, so they easily handle this. Now we will talk about part 2 of this book, which is Orientalist structures and restructures. In 19th century, Occidents thinks that Orients are innocent, pure and unspoiled. First they tell Orients are lazy, irrational. Now they told that Orients are pure but also inferior and innocent. That is why we control them because of innocence. They want to protect them so that innocent creature like Orients cannot be in disadvantage. There is also a hidden purpose in this because we are not that important for them. They only said all of this to justify themselves. Occident justifies that Western countries develop sooner in less time as compared to other parts of the world. They have right to control Orients. Orientalists are those people, like I already told you about Orientalists, these are those people who study Orients. Occidents create false assumption for Orients so they can impose their culture on Orients. Now move on to the third part. Edward said also share his experience about how he when visit other countries he is interested in meeting different culture of people, not museum, park or any other picnic points. He said that people gives us more knowledge by telling us their experience, not museum gave us the knowledge. Like that, Orients are not like that how the image of them is created in all over the world. Now move on to the other topic of our Orientalism, which is Orientalism now. In this part, Seth told us about that colonization may be finished, but Orientalism is not. The discourse set by them today also available. They rule on us, so they can finish our identity and impose their culture on us. They also want to gain more power and knowledge. Now, Orientalism in 20th century. Orientalists now lived with us so they can observe us more deeply. They also want to gain more knowledge and power. According to them, Islam is a weak religion, they said, because earth becomes more powerful. They have power both politically and militarily. They don't want to be inferior. They see that as an insecurity. Clear? Now, who are Occidents? Occidents are those who study Orient's language. They also think today we are inferior. Just make your concept clear about Orients and Occidents. Hope you enjoyed the lecture. That's all for today. We'll meet in the next lecture with more informative literature. Till then, take care. Thank you for watching.